Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we are going to talk about infective endocarditis. As the name indicates, the infection of endocardium. Endocardium is basically the innermost layer of the heart. So it is defined as infection of endocardial surface of the heart, and it usually involves the cusps of valves of the heart. The most commonly involved valve in the infective endocarditis is mitral valve on the left side of the heart, and second commonly involved valve is aortic valve on the left side of the heart. Usually the right side is not involved, but in the IV drug abusers, because of the direct venous return into the right atrium, in IV drug abuser, the most commonly involved valve is tricuspid valve on the right side of the heart. Now come to its predisposing factors or the risk factors for developing the infective endocarditis. If the patient has prosthetic valve in the heart or has congenital heart defects, especially the ventricular septal defect, or any valvular heart diseases like mitral or aortic regurgitation or stenosis, and rheumatic heart diseases, or the patient is immunocompromised, and IV drug abuser cases, patient is diabetic, because of less immune response in the diabetic individuals, and intracardiac devices like pacemakers within the heart. So all these are the risk factors for developing the infective endocarditis. Now come to its causative organisms or causative agents. The most common cause of infective endocarditis is Streptococcus viridans, and the other organisms to be involved are in the acute infective endocarditis and in the IV drug abusers. Staph aureus is the most common cause. And for the prosthetic valves in the heart, usually the staph epidermidis is involved. And if the patient has UTI associated with infective endocarditis, it is because of enterococcus bacteria. If the patient has ulcerative colitis or the colon malignancy, or the malignancy of the large intestine, then Streptococcus bovis is the cause of this infective endocarditis. This Streptococcus bovis is also called Streptococcus galolyticus. The other organisms involved in colonic malignancy are Streptococcus or the Enterococcus fecalis or Enterococcus faecium. Normal flora of the mouth or the oropharyngeal surfaces are basically the Hasek organisms, and they are rarely caused infective endocarditis. This mnemonic is basically: H is for Haemophilus, A is Actinobacillus, C is Cardiobacterium, E is Echinella, and K is Kingella. So all these organisms only cause infective endocarditis when the predisposing or the risk factors are present, and rarely cause infective endocarditis as compared to other organisms. Now come to the types of infective endocarditis. It is classified into acute and subacute infective endocarditis. Let's talk about the acute infective endocarditis. Basically, in acute infective endocarditis, highly virulent organisms are involved, and these highly virulent organisms damage the healthy endocardium or the healthy valve of the heart. It has very poor prognosis and causes very severe destruction to the heart structures. And the most commonly involved organism is Staphylococcus aureus. This is the most common cause of acute infective endocarditis. The other rarely involved organisms are Streptococcus pneumonia and Streptococcus pyogenes. Now come to the clinical features of the acute infective endocarditis. Because of severe bacteremia, it patient may develop severe febrile illness, high grade fever associated with chills, and has developed the new murmur, and maybe the change in the previous murmur. And patient develops vegetations. Vegetations are basically the abnormal morphological lesions within the heart. So vegetations when the highly virulent organism basically damage the healthy endocardium or the healthy valve. So because of the organism at this site, neutrophils, macrophages, and other, in due to the immune response, comes at this plate by the circulation and further damage this area by the inflammatory process, damages this area, and this area when damaged becomes thrombogenic. So there is a deposition of platelet as well as fibrin at this place. So a lesion is developed, which is basically abnormal growth is formed. This abnormal growth is called vegetations, and these vegetations are highly fragile. These are highly fragile through the turbulent blood flow or when causing obstruction and high blood pressure. These are highly fragile and got break from here and enters into the circulation. Now these are called septic emboli and enters into through the circulation, enters into various parts of the body and causes the obstruction to the blood flow of that area and causes the infarction or the tissue becomes dead. So these are vegetations. And in severe acute infective endocarditis, ring abscesses are formed. These are basically ring-like abscesses are formed around the valves of the heart, and these abscesses, when spread like this mechanism, these enters into the circulation and break from their primary origin. These are called metastatic abscesses and deposit in various parts of the body. But because the here the duration is sudden and the duration is short, so no antigenemia, that is, there is no time to develop the antibodies against these organisms. So no immune complexes are formed because of no formation of antibodies in acute infective endocarditis. It is a very deadly condition. If not treated properly, it causes the death of the patient within the 6 weeks if not properly treated. Now come to the second type of infective endocarditis, that is subacute infective endocarditis. It is usually less dangerous than acute infective endocarditis. In the subacute infective endocarditis, low virulent organisms are involved, and here the predisposing factors are present. We have discussed on the first page like this. These are the predisposing factors for subacute infective endocarditis, and these organisms causes the subacute infective endocarditis except Staph aureus. So it is usually involved the previously damaged endocardium or previously damaged valve due to any reason, and it causes less destruction of the valve as compared to acute infective endocarditis. The most commonly or microorganism to be involved in subacute infective endocarditis is Streptococcus viridans. Its types are Streptococcus sanguis or Streptococcus mitis. These are commonly involved organisms in subacute infective endocarditis. The clinical features are usually non-specific. Also, cardiac features are present. So the patient develops the fever, chills, night sweats, and weight loss. Also, the patient may develop anemia because it is usually a long-term process as compared to acute infective endocarditis. So the cytokines are released from the inflammatory cells. These cytokines suppresses the bone marrow, which results in this anemia or decreased RBC count. Also, the cardiac features are patient may develop a new murmur or there is a change in the pre-existing murmur. Patient may develop the conduction abnormalities or the congestive cardiac failure in severe cases. Here, unlike the acute infective endocarditis, there is antigenemia or the immune complexes formation, because when the bacteria is present in the body for a long time, after the innate immunity, adaptive immunity or the acquired immunity becomes activated. So these that is humoral or antibody mediated immunity start working. So antibodies are formed against the antigens of the bacteria. Suppose this star is the antigen of bacteria and this is antibody, and this is called antibody antigen complex or the simply immune complex. This immune complex then enters into the circulation and deposit in various parts of the body and damage the small capillary vessels by type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. This basically the immune complex when enters into the capillaries. By entering into the capillaries, there is a activation of complement system, and there is a basically there is a entry of further macrophages and neutrophils here and causes destruction of the blood capillaries. So hemorrhages occurs in various parts of the body. So due to the immune complexes, vasculitis develop because of damage to the small blood vessels. So the features are Roth's spots. These are basically the splinter hemorrhages within the retina along with the central pellar. These are called Roth's spot because of the immune complexes deposition in the capillaries of the retina and damage to the small vasculature of retina. These Roth's spots are formed. The other features because of antigenemia or immune complexes are Osler's node. These Osler's node are basically painful nodes which are present within the pulp of the finger because of deposition of immune complexes in the capillaries of the fingers or the digits. So the painful Osler's nodes are formed because of these immune complex vasculitis. And also these immune complexes, when through the circulation, enters into the kidneys and causes glomerulonephritis, and when enters into the joint causes polyarthritis. So all these features are because of immune complex vasculitis. Now remember the embolic phenomena, as we have discussed on the previous page, that due to vegetations and abscesses, emboli, septic emboli are formed, and these emboli, when through the circulation, enters into the various parts of the body, so it blocks the blood supply of that area and the area becomes infarcted. So it causes the infarction of digits, infarction of brain, and infarction of spleen, and also pulmonary infarct if the right sided heart is involved. Also these emboli, when deposited into the small capillaries and damage the small capillaries of the nails, then splinter hemorrhages. These are basically the vertical hemorrhages in the nails because of the emboli deposition in the capillaries and damage the capillaries of the nails. So splinter hemorrhages are appears on the nail. And also Janeway lesions, these are the painless lesions in the palms and the sole of the foot because of the deposition of emboli in the capillaries and damage the capillaries of that area. So painless lesions on the sole of the foot and palm of the hand, these are Janeway lesions because of the embolic phenomena. Now come to the Duke's criteria for infective endocarditis. It is classified into major criteria, and there are some minor or positive blood culture for typical organisms. The typical organisms are basically the Streptococcus viridans and Staphylococcus aureus. And the other criteria is if the positive blood culture, more than three positive blood cultures, consecutive three positive blood cultures 1 hour apart, and if there is a persistent positive blood cultures after 12 hours apart. So these are the positive blood culture criteria. And there is endocardial involvement, it is also a major criteria. It is checked by echocardiogram. If the echocardiogram findings shows the abscess or vegetations or the valvular prolapse, then this is a positive echo findings, or there is newly established valvular regurgitation. So these two are major criteria, major Duke's criteria. The minor criteria are if the patient has fever and there is immune complex phenomena, as we have discussed previously, that antigenemia or immune complexes, that is Roth spots or Osler's nodes, are positive, or the vascular or embolic phenomena, that is we have discussed that splinter hemorrhages and Janeway's lesions, and also the positive culture for non or the atypical organisms, that is not Staph aureus, not Streptococcus viridans, other organisms. And echo findings shows other than the positive major criteria. So if the patient has two major criteria positive, then it is confirmatory for the infective endocarditis. But if patient has the other criteria is one major criteria, or along with three minor criteria, and the other criteria is no major criteria but all the five minor criteria are positive, so the patient has infective endocarditis. So we will discuss the investigations and management of infective endocarditis in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video.